All right, everybody, welcome to another week of hockey as oh man, now it's not letting me go to Parx Sportsbook's Twitter. I don't know what's going on. Oh, we'll have to fix that. Um, it's another week of Parx Sportsbook presents Stick to Hockey Live. It is Jason Myrtetus, and our guest today will be Marty Biron, the former Ranger, former Sabre, former Flyer goaltender, will join us momentarily. All brought to you by Parx Sportsbook. Make sure you download the app and check it out because it's so easy to use and get in on the action. Great football action this weekend. You could have had some action on, obviously, the hockey card and much more. Tone's takes. Tone's been ripping it up. And get the app, download it on your Android or your iOS phone, and get in on the action. Even if you're using another service, try Parx Sportsbook because it's great. And they're a local company, so we can trust them. Easy deposits, fast payouts, and no promo required for your first bet. Just deposit, open an account, deposit, and your first bet is risk-free up to $500. And make sure you follow Parx on all the social channels at Parx Sportsbook on Twitter, on Facebook, also Instagram and YouTube. You'll get great content there, and you'll also get daily specials and all kinds of great information. So make sure you check it out. Parx Sportsbook, we love them. They present this podcast. They present Odds, which we'll do tomorrow with Harry Mays. We've had some great guests on Stick to Hockey Live since we relaunched here for, I guess, what we'll call a delayed season 2. But there's a lot to discuss today as the Flyers now have lost 11 straight games. 11 straight games. It's unbelievable. They're back at it tonight. They take on the Dallas Stars at Wells Fargo, back-to-back today and tomorrow. Tonight at home against the Stars, tomorrow on the road against the Islanders. And it's a shame because Keith Yandel is going to tie Doug Jarvis's record tonight. It's a shame it's kind of overshadowed by how poorly the team has played, and he'll break the record coming up tomorrow night against the Islanders, presumably. And it's a pretty impressive record to stay in the lineup as long as he has, coupled with doing that during a pandemic. But let's talk to him right now from MSG Networks, covers the Buffalo Sabres, television analyst, former NHL goaltender, former stud at the Quebec Pee Wee tournament, and a good guy to talk to. It is Marty Biron. Marty, how are you?
I'm doing really good, Jason. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and I am now jealous because I got the masks on my wall, but your wall is legit and way better than my wall.
Well, you know what is funny is one of my favorite masks that I wore. My two favorite masks that I wore while playing are not on the wall. The one that I had with Buffalo that was split red and black, and it had the Sabres logo, whatever. That one got stolen. So it got stolen with my car and my gear one year in Montreal. I got the car, got the gear back, never got the mask back. So this one I don't have. And my Flyers one, which was a really, really good paint job. It was the flying, lumberjack, with a goalie stick instead of a hatchet or whatnot on the Flyers logo. That I ended up getting redone and repainted over because I like the mask so much. And when you like a mask and it fits well, you want to keep it. So I painted over it. So I don't have that one. I'm going to have to get a replica made at some point. But so I got some of my masks, some of my junior masks, like that one over here. That's my Beauport Hart Fang mask when I was playing in juniors. So, I got some good memories up there.
Oh, I got you back there, Marty. Sorry, I lost you for a second.
No, that's all right. I hope it was a good freeze because that happens sometimes and you're like, your face is all like bad. So
yeah, I start considering wearing some of the masks. I love that's an Amerks mask behind you as well, right?
Right here. That's my Rochester Americans mask. And then I'm going to try to pan out. So these two here were with the New York Rangers, but they were a copy of my Rochester Americans mask because I like the Amerks mask so much. This one here was a replica of the Gilles Gratton. Remember Gilles Gratton played for the Rangers? He had the lion mask. That was for Winter Classic one. So the one actually in Philly. So, and then on this side, this is my major midget, first mask I ever had.
So you're going helmet and cage before that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was wearing a helmet, CCM helmet and just a regular cage. Very first mask, junior. Rochester. This one I never wore. That was a mask that Cole made for me that never really worked out well. So yeah.
Awesome.
So
How cool.
easy. Just a nail. You take the back plate out, just put a long nail into the wall, and you sit the mask on it, and it looks fine.
Yep, I got a few. I got a bunch laying around here as well. It's my latest
Yeah,
one, and
that's your yeah.
yeah, and it's time for an upgrade because there's a big bend in the bar, and that compromises the bar, and
You know what? If you came across and look at all my cages, let me
they're all
show you
banged up, right?
one. Oh yeah. So this one I actually wore, but you could see, look at that bend in this one. But I liked it because it made the eyes bigger. So I was like, I don't want to change. Like when I was with the Flyers, Harry Bricker and Derek Selmeyer were my equipment guys, and they're like, Marty, we need to change your cage. Nope, no, you're not touching my cage. It's bent, but it's not broken. And they'd be
Yeah.
like, dude, this is so dangerous. And they're like, we remember Brian Boucher got the puck stuck in the mask,
Yeah.
the whole thing. That will be you, but it will be right in your eye. And I'm like, no, I'm keeping it. I like it. So they
Do you remember? Do you remember
they
who
did
shot
like,
that puck to bend that bar?
don't remember.
I remember talking to Bush about it. He broke out the mask when we had him on with the puck wedged in it, and he said it was Scott Gomez who took that shot.
Oh, wait, Gomer did not have a hard shot. It
That's
had to
what he
be
said.
perfectly placed to go in. I remember Jean-Sebastien Aubin. He was with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Same thing happened to him. Puck got stuck in his cage. He actually missed some time because he had internal bleeding behind the
Ooh.
eye. It hit the eye just enough that it caused bruising behind the eye or whatever.
Yeah, Bush said, "Thank God it wasn't Jason Arnott who shot it."
Oh, or Chris Pronger, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that would have been hard.
Let me ask you, in all your years playing, who was the guy that you had the hardest time reading his shot, the release or the power, or just got on you? Because some guys have a heavy shot, some guys have a quick shot.
The guy that had the most success on me, it was Jaromir Jagr. And I think Jags had the long reach. He was so strong on his legs. You never really knew what he was going to do. And he could shoot the puck from anywhere, from out far, from in tight, could shoot the puck from anywhere. He was really, really hard to read when he was coming down. Now, the heaviest shot I've ever had to face, there was two. One I played with was Chris Gratton. Chris Gratton had a heavy, a bullet. It was hard. It was like a jackhammer that wanted to push right through you. But he had zero confidence in it. Every time he shot the puck in practice and he went like really hard, blew it by me, he'd be like, was that hard? I'm like, Gratz, like you have a rocket of a shot. Like, come on. Like, I can't believe you don't know that. Him. And then one guy that had a sneaky but heavy shot was Shane Doan. And I was at the World Championship one year and he was there and it literally hurt. Every time he shot the puck, even a wrist shot or a slapper, the thing would hit your shoulder and just blow it right out. Like he had a really sneaky, heavy shot. But those were the guys, yeah.
Those guys, when a heavy shot like that, some shots hit you and they just bounce off. It's like poof. But the heavy shot tends to feel like it hits your bone.
Oh, yeah.
Like
the puck's heavier. I'm like, did you use a heavy puck? You know, those like red pucks for stick handling, they're heavier.
Yeah.
Is that what you're using? Because it felt different.
I played in an alumni game against John LeClaire, and in warm-ups, he almost knocked my legs out from under me. I was like, Jesus, God, it was just a snapshot.
LeClaire had a good shot, but I remember playing in an alumni game in Toronto, and he was there. I think that's when they got the Legion of Doom line together with the Big E, him and Michael Renberg. I believe that's when the Big E went into the hall.
Yeah.
I think that, so we played. And in warm-ups, exactly the same thing. Like, you know, you're just there to have a good time. I'm taking shots or whatever. He came in, he took a slapper. The thing zipped right by me. Like, oh, that was heavy. And like I said to John, I said, look, maybe you never had a heavy shot, or maybe you did. But, you know, we're all retired and we put on a few pounds and now you can really lean into it. It's a lot heavier then.
I may not have the same accuracy. You can't get up and down the ice quite as well, but that's all right. That's great. Marty, you got a chance to witness that game on Saturday in Buffalo. Flyers lose their 11th straight game. Buffalo takes the 6-3 win. What did you take away from the game from really both teams? Because both teams are struggling, but the Flyers even more so of late.
Yeah, well, what I thought was the Sabres have young talent that is trying to to make a case for where they're going, right? They are not where the Flyers are at right now. I think the Flyers and their young talent are a few years ahead. Now the Flyers are in a really tough spot trying to figure out what they're doing moving forward. But the Sabres can play a little bit more freely, right? They go into Detroit and they lose 4-0, and it's a bad game last week. And then, the game before they beat Nashville on the road. Like, there's a lot of inconsistency, but when the young guys are playing and playing really well, it makes a difference. And I'm talking young guys. I'm talking Dahlin. I'm talking Tage Thompson. I'm talking Peyton Krebs. And before that was Jack Quinn and JJ Peterka. I'm talking about Alex Tuch, who's 25 or 26 years old, but he's a newcomer and he's still young, when you consider the NHL and what this guy with the big body, what he can do. So I think they've got a lot of good pieces. What I felt was the big issue with the Flyers, and I don't have stats to back it up. I have a lot of stats to back up sometimes and I meant to look it up and I forgot, but I felt like the Flyers never blocked any shots. I felt like the Sabres basically could walk in and from the flank or whatnot and just shoot the puck. They never got anybody in the shooting lane and made the job really hard on Martin Jones. Not that he had a good game, but it just they need help. Like the Flyers goalies, when in all considering 10-game plus winless streak, I feel that their numbers are not as bad as you would have thought if you tell me, hey, you know what, they're going to struggle and lose, be winless than 10 and now be winless than 11. I would have thought they would have been a lot worse than that, but they're not. It just, they need help. There's nobody blocking shots. So as soon as the Sabres saw that, it gave them confidence because they got good shooters. Buffalo's got really good shooter. Tage Thompson is a really good shooter. He needs a little bit of time to let it go, and he gets it blocked a lot. But on the penalty that the Flyers got for the failed challenge on the offside, like he walked in untouched in the slot on the power play, and there was nobody around him. He was able to take a better angle, and then he shot at 5-0 on Martin Jones, and you're saying, that's a bad goal. But at the same time, how do you let a guy walk in that close and take that type of shot? So I really think that their attention to details and especially blocking shots is non-existent right now.
Yeah, and that's a bad thing because, Marty, the word that's been kind of used to describe this Flyers team with the 2 10-game winless streaks, now 11 for the second one, is fragile. And as a former player, players hate 2 words, fragile and soft. Right. Yeah. That's like the worst thing you can call a hockey player. But this team collectively right now, there's a fragility to it, and you can see it on the ice.
So this is important to make a difference between the players are soft and they are playing soft. Yes. I don't think anybody is soft. Everybody wants to go out and play hard. But there's a compete and a battle level that you need to achieve. Don and Bo challenged a guy the other day. Like Dallas, he said, we got pushed around. We lost every puck battle. We lost every board battle. We lost every physical battle. And Dallas, who the Flyers are going to see now, they can play a heavier game when they get on you and they get on pucks like that. So you look at the Sabres. How do you respond from that? Well, because the Sabres are playing with a little bit less stress and pressure, they know where they're at and they're just hoping to play well. Well, they decided to take it to heart and say we're gonna win battles. Look at the first goal the Sabres scored. It's Jeff Skinner that wins a battle in the neutral zone against James Van Riemsdyk. Jeff Skinner is 5'11". Van Riemsdyk is a lot bigger. Van Riemsdyk should not have lost that battle. He's not soft because we all know JVR and how he plays, but that was a soft play right there. So I'm not calling him soft. I'm saying the play was soft. And then Skinner gets in deep, and it's Alex Tuch that goes in and wins a battle against 2 Flyers in the corner. And then the puck comes back to Skinner. It's in the back of the net, and it's 1-0 couple minutes in, right? Like, that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying everybody wants to play hard. Everybody wants to compete. But right now, they have a softness to their play that is not allowing them to gain any confidence in their game. And then once it gets going the other way, all of a sudden, failed challenge, man, instead of being up 2-1, you're 2-2, you're going on a penalty kill. It's like you've lost all confidence. I could tell. I could totally tell in the Flyers' mood, like when they panned on the bench with the camera, like this team is thinking we're going to get scored here. Like, they all look at the iPad and they all saw that it was onside by the 1 millimeter. I actually think it may have been offside on the Peyton Krebs, like getting in, but the league said there was not enough conclusive evidence to overturn the call on the ice, which I get it. It was that close, right? But everybody on that bench for the Flyers looked at the iPad like, oh, that's offside. Oh, well, now we got screwed. And now we're going to give up another power play goal. Now we're going to be down 3-2. And it's like, whoa, where's the mindset? Where's the confidence? And it's just not there.
Yeah, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy to lose. Let me ask you about being a part of a team that's going through something like this from both sides. As an opponent, so Buffalo goes into that game. They know the Flyers have lost 10 straight for the second time this season. They're going into that game. They smell blood in the water. As a member of a team facing a team that's struggling like that, you got a team that's fragile and you want to jump on them early. And Skinner gets that goal a minute 29 in. So I imagine from an opposition standpoint, you're looking at it and going, well, we're not going to be the team that loses to them. And they're fragile, so let's get on them.
Yeah,
but that can make them dangerous.
It's scary depending on what type of team you are. If you're the Tampa Bay Lightning and a team coming in as winless, 10-game winless streak, you're like, we're taking care of them. But the Buffalo Sabres, it's different. You're almost scared to be like, oh, we don't want to be the team that's going to lose to the Flyers and they've not won in 10, right? So I think that, again, that could play on your mind a little bit. Being on the road and being at home is a big difference. I felt like this game in Buffalo for the Flyers may have been good for them to go on the road and maybe not worry about having, the fan on you if you're down 1-0 and just play your game. Although it didn't work that way. I was part of a 10-game winless streak one year. My first year in Philadelphia. So we're talking about 07, 08.
06, 07.
No, that was 06-07 was when I got traded, but the next year, 07-08, we had a 10-game winless streak. At the All-Star break, we were first in, they used to call it the Atlantic Division at the time. It was all these Atlantic teams, New Jersey, Philly, us, whatever, Islanders, the Rangers. And then, so we were first in the division at the All-Star break. We lost the first 10. Well, some overtime loss, but first 10 after the All-Star break. And we were out of a playoff spot. And I remember, and sometimes it's the stupidest of things. We had the Flyers Wives Carnival, and then we were departing for Buffalo. So the Flyers Wives Carnival was on a Sunday, let's say, at the arena. And everybody was in a bad mood. Like, we were like, what are we doing? We were first in the division. We're out of a playoff spot right now. What is going on? I had to go on the ice and take shots from fans for 5 hours. 5 hours in my gear with fans walking down the stairs and coming in and thinking, and they licking their chops like, you suck, Marty. You guys have lost 10 in a row. I'm going to show you how I can score on you. And I was mad. I was like, kids are coming in. I'm kind of letting them score. And then there's Joe Schmo that comes down and he goes bar down and or bar out. Like, I didn't give up a lot of goals to adults because I was like, I'm not letting you score.
I'm bearing down here.
But they're hitting you right in the mask or in the shoulder. I'm like, are you serious? Like, this is charity. Like, I get you want to score, but we got to fly out to Buffalo and we're playing tomorrow. I don't want to take one in the jugular and be out cold, right? So anyway, exhausted by the end of it, 5 hours. Me and Nitty and Taro Nittimaki are taking shots. Then I remember Bernie Perron came in to take some shots. I was like, Bernie, like, what are you doing? Like, he didn't want to wear a mask. Anyway, a long story short, we get to Buffalo. We're still sour about the 10-game winless streak. We're exhausted from the carnival. We're playing in Buffalo, and then we won, and we stopped the 10-game winless streak, and we won, and then we got ourselves going and made the playoffs on the second last game of the season. I'm just saying, sometimes you need a break, right? We had our anger, or maybe our energy was triggered into a different direction. We didn't think about the last game and the last 10 games, we were just thinking like, oh my God, this was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, is stand for 5 hours in a little patch of ice and take shots from fans.
Yeah.
Practices were easier compared to that because we were sweating, we were exhausted, but we won. So I was like, okay, well, sometimes you need to do something different to change it around.
Your memory is fantastic. You won that game against Buffalo in the shootout, 4-3
Jeff
to end
Carter,
it.
I believe, scored a
Yeah.
the game deciding shootout goal.
Yeah, and that losing streak went from February 6th all the way until February 23rd. Tough time of year to have one as well. From the other side, when you're in the middle of that as a goalie, you just kind of alluded to it a minute ago. Flyers have gotten bounce back goaltending for the most part this entire season. It hasn't been perfect, but it's been incredibly better than it was last year. Yet the team hasn't reaped the reward. One of the things and one of the fears of Flyer fans is that Carter Hart, with this team playing as poorly as it is, that eventually it's going to wear him down and it's going to damage him as a goaltender moving forward.
I don't know that that's going to damage him, but I think it's going to build his character maybe, and give him the desire to continue working harder. Because there is some deficiency in his game, and we can talk about that. But you're right. Like the Flyers, I believe, are 29th in expected goals against.
Yeah.
They're only 28th in expected goals for. So you're looking at, even if you were getting average, well, they're getting, I think, average to above average goaltending, mostly by Carter Hart. I don't know that Marty Jones is getting that, but anyway, Hart is doing it. And even if you were, just saying, hey, we're getting average goal scoring, it'd be 28th in goal scoring. I mean, it's just, it can't happen. You want to find an identity. Like right now, the Flyers' identity is we don't create enough and we give up too much. That's not a winning identity. That
No.
is not a winning identity at all. I understand that they've gotten a lot of injuries. Ryan Ellis, Hayes, now Farabee was out. Couturier. I mean, they've gotten a lot of injuries. So, but every team has a lot of injuries. Buffalo had 12 guys on the injured reserve when they played them the other day. So, I mean, teams are having to deal with that all around the league right now, on top of the COVID protocol. So it is what it is. But you look at Carter Hart, okay, and I have access to some, advanced stats through Sports Logic and all of that. I'm looking at goals saved above expectations. And who are the best goaltenders in the league? When you look at that metric, basically, with the quality of shots you're getting, and every shot gets a value, this should be going in at this rate, this should be going in at this rate. Who's saving more goals than the league average? And who's giving up more goals than the league average?
Well, right?
Shesterkin's number 2 right now. Ville Husso is number 1. Shesterkin was 1 all year because Husso hadn't played enough games. But right now, Husso won in St. Louis, who's making a strong case for, okay, what is St. Louis going to do? Are they keeping Binnington moving forward, which I think they will with the contract? But they probably will have to move Ville Husso because he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. But you continue down. Sorokin in Long Island having a really good season. Tristan Jarry. Jack Campbell, Freddie Anderson, Jussi Saros, Andrei Vasilevsky, Antti Ranta, Sergei Bobrovsky, Tasha Demko. And then at number 15, 15 out of, I have 59 goalies that qualified for the perimeters I put, basically goalies that have played over 500 minutes. At number 15 is Carter Hart. Carter Hart is saving above expected at the 15th best rate in the National Hockey League. That should be enough. That should be enough. You're the top 15 goalies in the National Hockey League. If you were 29th, 30th, 31st, I'd say, okay, you're average. But he's saving almost, and I have it right here, he's saving a quarter of a goal a game. So every 4 games, 1 goal he's saving that an average goalie would give up. People are going to say, that's it? Hey, that's huge. Big. It's huge in the goalie world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 1 goal every 4 game is huge. That 1 goal every 4 game is the difference between a 2.75 goals against average and a 2.5 goals against average. There's a big difference right there. The best goalies in the world save a goal every 2 games. Okay. A goal every 4 game is great. A goal every 8 games would be great, as long as you're on the better side of it. So I do think Carter Hart is got some things he needs to work in his game technically, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. But when you just look at the data and the numbers, he's having a really good year. And the Flyers are not either creating enough or they're not helping him and defending enough for him to be able to have success.
Yeah, they're not. The Flyers just have to work too hard to score, and scoring's been so. They just haven't gotten the job done offensively this year. The power play has been a train wreck as well. Let's talk about his game technically. What are you seeing out of Carter's game? Because we know, Marty, he's one of those very technical goaltenders. Efficiency and movement, everything is under control. He's not one of those guys that's going to take a ton of ice like a Fleury or a Quick in his day and be sprawling all over the place unless he has to. So what do you see out of his game? Where are the areas where he could have some, improvements in his success rate at the NHL level?
Well, there's two main things for me when I look at Carter Hart's game. One is he's very stiff. And again, because he's such a very technical type goaltender, he plays in a box, right? So he's very stiff and he moves, and the athleticism that the best goalies in the world are showing right now. Again, you talk about Shesterkin, you're talking about Bobrovsky, you're talking about Vasilevsky. Those guys have incredible athleticism in their game. Now, a goalie that's stiff and that's very technical could be at the top of the league. Like Connor Hellebuyck for me is a very stiff goaltender, very technical, very stiff. Get the body in front of the puck, and that's the way it works. Well, he won a Vezina. He's good, right? John Gibson is very stiff. I don't love John Gibson, but I know the rest of the world do. I don't love him because I don't think he has that side that's athletic and a little bit outside of the box, but everybody seems to love John Gibson, but he's stiff. I think Carter Hart is stiff. And for me, like, I would want him to be able to develop that side of him that has hip mobility, core strength, flexibility. You don't fall on your butt all that often. You don't fall forward that often. You're able to keep control of all of that, but show athleticism. That's a part of it. But it's hard because you've been the same goalie at high level at 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And that's the way you've been successful. And now you're being told, like, hey, you know what? Maybe you need to do Pilates and yoga and all of that to open your body up. Maybe we need to branch out and make you unstiff you a little bit. So that's the one thing, which it doesn't bother me because I think he can be very, very good in his stiffness in his box, the way that he plays. The second thing is what bothers me a little bit more. There's this thing going on around the goalie world right now that everybody's trying to teach this shifting. You got to shift in the puck. The puck is being shot, let's see, to the blocker side. You got to shift your body and try to get your body as middle as you can to the puck. And hopefully you get it in your body. There's less and less reacting to the shot where my body stays middle and I'm just going to react with the blocker. My body stays middle. I'm just going to react with the glove. I think what Carter Hart does is if there's a shot to the glove, he tries to get his body to the glove and he's shifting. And I understand how that's good on deflections and screenshots when you don't have
center mass.
Sight. Center mass. Like, find out your data, right? The shot is being taken. Your brain is calculating all these angles and all the data and says, okay, you don't have a clear sight of it, but if you move over there, you have a better chance of having the puck hit you. I totally get that. But on clear sight shots, I want guys that are reacting, that are puck tracking and they're reacting, that their legs are kicking, their arms are kicking. So again, in the stiffness that Carter Hart is, he likes to shift a lot in the pucks. And that to me is where I would make the biggest adjustment if I was Carter Hart, if I was training him, is I would say, we're going to take a whole summer and we're going to get away from the shifting and we're going to work on reacting. We want you to react. Now, the shifting will always be part of his game because of the way he plays, but add an element of a little bit of an old school. I'm not an old school type goaltender in the way that I watch the game. I very much like the RVH when it's used properly. I like the shifting when it's used properly. I really like goalies that stay deeper if they can do it. Now there's goalies that have to be on top of their crease. I like to see every element of goaltending, but there's always such a thing with goalies that can react to pucks and make saves. And, Mika Kiprasov, like the guy could catch every puck, and his hands and his legs were
Cross his
so
body.
quick. It was unbelievable, right? I mean, that is the big thing. And for me, that's the big thing that Carter Hart would need to work on to take his game to the next level, because he was able to get to a certain level, and now he needs to get to the next level.
It's adding more tools to your toolbox is what it's doing, because like Kiprasov was a guy, I remember Marty, he caught everything. And what he did by doing that was he just muted plays. They were done. They were over with. It was whistle when he would catch it. If you slide into a puck like that, or you shift into a save, then there's a rebound. And now you have also the inertia of your body moving to the right. If something does happen and that puck is moving to the left, now your whole body's got to go to the left, fighting the area it's going. If you're just using the hand on a simple blocker turn to the corner, your body's still centered and you're still over your feet.
Yeah, and you obviously you have control of your body, control of your core. And again, it comes back to, like I said, you watch the last, 8 or 9 games that Carter Hart has played, and you watch the goals. Every goal, he's always in the same position. He's always very proper butterfly or reverse VH, but there's not that extra, I reacted to it. It's like, I was there, but the puck didn't hit me, so it went into the net. Now, John Tortorella had a famous saying, and the guys that played for Torts in New York would tell you, like, not about goaltending, about everybody. He used to say, hey, you're there, but you're not there. You're there, but you're not there. And guys would be like, what does that mean? I'm there, but I'm not there.
How can I be there, but not there?
But you're there, but you're not doing anything. Like, it's not good enough to just be there. It's good enough to be there and do something with it. Henrik Lundqvist, which I'm going to his jersey retirement ceremony on Friday. Can't wait. But he was the goalie that I can tell you where he shifted the pucks like so well when he needed to, and he reacted to pucks so well when he needed to. How many times did we see Lundqvist, like the old school toe up glove save, right?
Yeah.
Or toe up blocker save, and reacting to pucks and kicking a leg. But he also knew when he needed to be technically at his best in a certain situation that he was there. So for me, that is the biggest thing that I see. And a lot of goaltenders, especially at the youth level, they think, well, I got to be point A to point B to point C to point D and do all of this the perfect way. There's a part you got to be loose. You got to play, like, shake them off, do some shoulder rolls. Let's go. Like, that's what it takes.
Yeah, you want those loose hands in front. And, the other thing, to play the position properly, I think you have to have almost creativity, because you have to be willing to throw different save selections at shooters. You play with Hasek. You never knew what he was going to do. I think some of his saves were just the shooter going, holy shit, what did he just do? He's barrel rolling.
Yeah, I can see that. It also very much different than today's goaltender and the way that he played and what goalies now have to do or can do. But there's still, again, that side of the best goalies like Merzlikins in Columbus, right? Oh my goodness. Like, he can come out of nowhere and all of a sudden kick a leg and make a save. Where they're like, I did not think he was going to play it that way. Vasilevsky is very much like that too. So yeah. I do think there's an unexpectability that you have to have as a goaltender, but that's for more desperate situations. I still think the basics are your technical elements have to be really good. You have to be in the right spot to face the shot, but you have to react. And Benny Allaire, my goalie coach in New York, him and his brother Francois used to always yell at us, question, answer. The shot is the question. What's your answer as a goaltender? And if it's a high blocker shot, the answer is high blocker. It's not butterfly, hope it hits my shoulder. If it's a low glove shot, the answer is low glove. It's not butterfly, hope it catches my toe. And so that, to me, that question answer is the part that needs to be developed.
Oh, I love that. Benoit Allaire, one of the greats, and the whole evolution of the butterfly and everything. Marty, let me ask you, has your phone rang? I thought maybe you were going to get into a Sabre game this year.
No, it just did right now, but it's not for that. 6
goalies deep. I mean, I'm going Doogie Hauser's playing against the Flyers on Saturday.
Which, again, okay, so for example, everybody's telling me, what do you think of Michael Hause? I'm like, The dude's got quick legs. Like,
He
he's
does.
not big. He's listed at 6'1". I think he's barely 6 foot, but whatever. Like, he looks a little smaller in that. Great legs. He's moves well. He's got some good technical elements. I think what's held him back is at times he gives up a questionable goal here and there. And the Rasmus Ristolainen goal was one of those the other night. Like,
that was a muffin.
You're up 1-0. Guy comes in, shoots it 5-0, and it goes through. Can't happen. And luckily for Michael Hause, the Sabres were able to battle back, but that was a big goal in the game. Could have been a big difference. But yeah, you got Michael Hause now. You've got Aaron Dell. You had Malcolm Subban, Dustin Tokarski, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Craig Anderson. It's been a revolving door. And it's been like that for a few years. I think the Sabres need to figure out where they're going with their goaltending. They have two great prospects waiting in the wings. And Devin Levi at Northeastern, that's going to the Olympics, by the way, with Team Canada, and Eric Portillo at Michigan. The word is that Levi is going to turn pro this year, and Portillo would play one more year at Michigan. So you kind of stagger them, right? Levi comes in and goes to Rochester, has a great year, or hopefully has a great year. And then the next year, maybe Levi is your starter in Rochester, Portillo's your backup. And then the year later, Levi's in Buffalo, Portillo's your starter. And there's a staggering in the farm system happening. But if you have to use 5 or 6 goalies next year, it doesn't matter. Maybe you got Levi playing in Buffalo some games, kind of like when Carter Hart came up to Philly. Like, it wasn't the plan, but plans sometimes go to the garbage and you make a new plan. And, throw that one in the garbage, you make a new plan. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, you always have to stagger them because there's only one crease for each team. I mean, it's not like a forward. You can dress a ton of guys and get them ice time. Jack Eichel being traded, that was obviously a distraction around the Buffalo Sabres. Obviously a huge talent and all the acrimony between, the procedure he wanted to have done. And eventually he's now a Vegas Golden Knight. They grabbed Tuck, they grabbed Krebs. Is this team moving in the right direction, Buffalo, now post Jack Eichel?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
needed to happen, right?
Jack is in my opinion, and I know I'm getting a little pushback on that, but I think he's a top 5 talent in the NHL when healthy. Maybe he's more 5, 6, or 7, like you consider McDavid, Draisaitl, Matthews, McKinnon. And then now, okay, let's have the conversation. Who's there? Who's at 5? Who's at 6? Who's at 7? But I think Jack Eichel is in that conversation when healthy. So we'll see if he's healthy 100% in Vegas and how that comes about. And he hasn't played in a long time. So it may not be this season, but over the next few years, we'll be able to see that. But it needed to happen. It's just one of those situations where, the relationship, not that it was bad between Eichel and the Sabres and Eichel and Kevin Adams, but he wanted something done. The Sabres didn't feel comfortable. You tried to make the best out of it for both parties. It took a lot longer than I'm sure Eichel wanted, but the Sabres got they were looking for, and like Stuck and Peyton Krebs in the first round pick. But now you look at the Buffalo Sabres again. They found a center in Tage Thompson this year. They didn't think he was going to play center ever in his NHL career. And he's at center and he's having the best year of his career so far. So there's that. Casey Middlestat hasn't played a lot this year. He's supposed to come back on Tuesday night, which would be great because that leaves him with a half a season ahead of him to continue his development. But you've got him. You got Dylan Cousins. So you've got 3 center down the middle. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
That's what you need, right? You've got Rasmus Dahlin. You've got Owen Power. That's at Michigan right now.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Jack Quinn, JJ Peterka, Peyton Krebs in the minors. You got 3 first-round picks this year. There's a ton of good pieces moving forward. Now it's all about managing it, developing them, and surrounding them with the right supporting cast. I think Kyle Oposo has been great for the Sabres, although on the sideline right now with an injury, but he's been great as a veteran. Zemgus Girgenssen's been great as a veteran. There's been some good pieces, but they also went and acquired some players this summer that they knew was only going to be on a 1-year deal, right? And there's Bjork and Drake Kajula and Vinny Hinostroza, although Hinostroza has been really good. They reacquired Mark Pysyk. He was here before. Then he went to Florida and Dallas, played 4D, didn't know where to go. He's been great. But moving forward, I think Buffalo's has got some really good pieces, and Granado's done a great job trying to develop them. And Seth Appert too in Rochester. I got to give Seth Appert some credit, a former goalie. So maybe that's what you need. More goalies in the organization, and it works better that way. But he's done a great job with the Rochester Americans and trying to develop those guys and get them ready. He said before, we don't want them to be NHL players. We want them to be NHL stars. We don't want them to be significant NHL players. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and goalies always, obviously I'm biased like you are, but goalies see the game, everything in front of them, so they see it from a different viewpoint, and they know the stresses, what stresses a goalie. Then that helps you not only offensively as a coach, but it also helps you defensively as a coach. Let me ask you about Claude Giroux, because he's in the final year of his deal. We know the Flyers season is sideways. The math is damn near impossible for them to get into any conversation about the playoffs. That would be foolhardy. Do you expect that he will waive the no move clause, Marty, and go chase a cup with somebody else?
I would think so. I think Claude Giroux is the captain of the team. He's been, the heart and soul for the last few years. They've already started last year with the trade of Jake Voracek. I think Cam Atkinson's been really good for the Flyers, by the way. So I've got no problem with that trade. Voracek wasn't going in the right direction. So you make that trade. It worked out well for the Flyers. But I do think that Claude Giroux is going to move on. And I think also Claude's a really, really nice, good person. And I think he understands that for the Flyers, it's probably better as well, that they are able to trade him at the deadline and acquire somebody. He's been there for a long time. And I think he would want that for the team and want that for himself. Now, there was rumors this morning that maybe Colorado would be interested in Claude Giroux. I don't know that the money would work, and they'd really have to be creative with that. But Claude Giroux could be heading to a really, really competitive Stanley Cup contender. Minnesota, I think, makes a lot of sense for me when I look at Claude Giroux. St. Louis does as well. St. Louis is, again, they don't have a lot of cap space, so that would have to be very, very tricky. I think Colorado, where they may be able to work something as if a guy like Samuel Girard was thrown in the deal. And I really like Samuel Girard, and he's on a very, very good deal. I think at $5 million a year or close to, and with the emergence of Cale Makar and he's taking so much room. All of a sudden, Girard's taking a step back in the ice time and all of it. So thinking Girard could go, Giroux could come in, the money, tried to make it all work. I think that could be a possibility at some point.
Flyers could retain some of that salary, as well, because they can.
And if you do, you're getting something better. And it's as simple as that. As if you retain, money on Claude Giroux, you can ask for more because teams are gonna. So apparently, Colorado was asking about Jack Eichel earlier this year with the Buffalo Sabres, but Colorado said, "We need you to retain money." Sabres were not willing to do it, but if the Sabres had said, "We'll retain money," the only problem is it's for the next 5 years or whatnot. They probably could have gotten a really, really, really top end deal. They just didn't want to do that, which understandable with the length of Jack Eichel's contract. But on an expiring contract, retain money for the rest of the year, but get something better in a trade. That could be interesting. Yeah,
why not? Last thing for you, Marty. One of your good friends was up for the reportedly up for the Montreal Canadiens general manager position. I think he was a finalist, Danny Briere.
Yeah.
I know Danny, he went back to school. He went to Penn, enrolled in the Wharton School of Finance, trying to further, his education and everything. He's going to be a GM eventually. How good of a GM is he going to be?
He's going to be really good. Danny was always a smart person, not just a smart hockey player. We called him Sneaky B for a reason, because he was very sneaky and very smart, which is a good quality to have when you're a general manager and you're trying to make trades and trying to, draft people or whatnot. You got to be having a certain sneakiness to it. So he was really good, always a student of the game. I tell the story that when Danny and I were a roommate in Buffalo, and then we weren't technically roommates in Philadelphia because goalies all had their own rooms, and Danny had his own room as well before the CBA changed. That basically everybody has their own rooms now, but we always tried to get connecting adjoining rooms. So we'd open the door between the two and we'd have this large suite at the two of us. Right. But I had a sling box that was hooked up to my Canadian dish that we would be when NHL Network was only in Canada. We're talking about 2006, 2007, 2008. It wasn't in the US yet. And every time we got on the road, I'd put my computer and clicked it into the wire and then, dialed the AOL or whatever it was at the time and, got the system up and I'd connect to the sling box and we'd be watching the highlights of all the games around the NHL. We'd show up to the rink the next morning, be like, "Oh, did you see that play last night? How about this guy? How about this game?" And guys would be like, what are you talking about? Like, they didn't have highlights on ESPN. We didn't see any of it. Well, Danny and I did. Like, we had it all. We were studying the game. We were students of the game. We liked that aspect of it. And I think Danny's still that guy, that student of the game, even though he's mature, smarter now probably than when we were, 27, 28 years old, 30 years old. But I think he's going to be a GM soon. I think he's going to be a really good GM. I think he was really close to the job in Montreal from what I'm gathering from my people in Montreal. Kent Hughes, Matthew Darche, Danny Briere. Those were the top three guys, and Danny was really close to the top of the list. The relationship that Jeff Gorton developed over the years with Kent Hughes, I think, made that partnership probably over the top. Not that they're best buddies, and Jeff Gorton said he's not my best friend, but they've been working together as an agent, assistant general manager for, Patrice Bergeron was the first time they worked together when they negotiated his entry-level deal. That's 18 years ago or whatnot.
Yeah.
So that probably weighted more, but I think the next guy in line was Danny, and I think he was really close to getting a job.
Yeah, he will end up with one, and he's a great guy as well. Marty, you are one of the great guys that we love talking to as well. Thanks so much for the time today, man. I hope everything is well with you and your family. And,
we were well until 13 seconds left in the Bills-Kansas City game last night. And to be honest with you, I'm still again, I'm an attention to details type of a person and game management. And I hate when players don't know the time or players don't know the situation or players don't execute what you tell them to do. And I don't know what happened to the Bills last night. They were supposed to kick in the end zone, or they were supposed to back off of Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce like they did and give Mahomes 2 passes to get in the field goal range. But I'm a fan. I'm a big Bills fan.
Yeah.
So I am really livid this morning that this happened. I'm so disappointed for Josh Allen because he had an unbelievable game.
Yeah.
And you guys know in Philadelphia, Andy Reid, he's really smart. I got to meet Andy Reid a couple of times. So now I'm going to cheer for him because I want him to have as much success as he can. But the Bills gifted this game in the last 2 minutes, really, to the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm disappointed.
Yeah, sometimes you got to have that heartbreak and learn from it to move.
They did last year. They lost to Kansas City in the AFC championship game, and they got blown out. They were up 9-0, and then everything fell apart. But what they said last year was, we need to be better on defense. We need to rush the quarterback without blitzing, which they did almost every play last night. They didn't blitz. They rushed the quarterback, and they dropped back. But they need jam. They need to jam Kelce and Hill at the line of scrimmage. Come on here. Can't let them run free 20 yards and get a pass. 13 seconds left. I'm losing it.
Are you one of those guys, one of the Bills Mafia, throwing people through tables at the tailgate?
I don't jump through tables, but I'll tell you this. I went to one game this year. The Bills beat the Houston Texans 40-0 at home. It rained from the kickoff all the way till the end of the game, and I stayed in my seat and stood in my seat, drenched from head to toe. I'm telling you, but I was right there. People were going back underneath to cover up, whatever. Me, my 4 kids, we were standing there. We lived it from start to finish. So awesome. Yeah, we don't jump through tables, but we're there.
I love it. That's great. Marty, good luck with the heartache with the Bills. Good luck with the rest of the season. We'll talk again soon, man. Thanks for doing this, as always.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
There he is, Marty Biron, as we continue on here with Stick to Hockey Live. Love talking to Marty. Gave us 50 minutes, and he's far too kind for doing it. And as you guys know, and you could hear him, and he's just a great guy and a great guy to talk to about hockey, about goaltending, about the Flyers, about the Sabres, and everything else, and Jack Eichel. Awesome stuff with Marty Biron. What a great way to start the week, and thanks to him once again for joining us on Stick to Hockey Live. Parx Sportsbook presents, and let me tell you about Parx, because you got to get the app downloaded on your Android or your iOS phone, and it's so simple to use. You're going to love it and get in on all the action. You got games tonight. You got the big football weekend coming, and one that just passed as well. Just incredible action in the NFL this past weekend. So make sure you get the Parx Sportsbook app and get in on the action. Same game parlays, player performances. You can bet the normal stuff too: money line, spreads, props, parlays, all that stuff. You can do it all. But make sure you check out the app, because it's really easy to navigate. You don't need to be some kind of Mensa Society member to be able to navigate this app and get in on the action. And again, no promo required right now. You just get the app, open up an account. Your first bet is risk-free up to $500. Risk-free. No promo, no hoops to jump through. Just get the app and open up an account, and you are good to go and get that $500 risk-free bet. Also, you got to follow them on their social channels, at Parx Sportsbook on Twitter. Follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You get great content there, daily specials, and much more. Flyers Stars tonight, by the way. Stars are minus 162 in Philadelphia tonight. And that would mean that, they're a road minus 162 favorite. Oh, my goodness. That is crazy. Let's look at some goal scores here for the game and some odds. Joe Pavelski for the first goal of the game is plus 1,000. Oof. Last goal plus 1,000 and 100 plus 155 to score. Look at a guy like Jamie Benn plus 1,500 for the first goal, plus 265 to score for the Dallas Stars. Miro Heiskanen plus 1,900 for the first goal, 350 to score in the game. So some interesting one. How about Cam Atkinson plus 200 to score? Giroux coming off 2 goals against Buffalo plus 210. Konechny's got a couple goals in his last 3 games, plus 265. That's not a bad bet. So get in on the action. Use the Parx Sportsbook app. It's right here. It's simple to use. I just did it while doing the show, and you're not going to regret it. And you get in on the great action with Parx Sportsbook. Coming up tomorrow, we have our episode, I think it's 8 of the Odgies podcast, myself and Harry Mays. That is Tuesday at 1:30. We'll be back Thursday with another brand new episode of Parx Sportsbook presents Stick to Hockey Live. Thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks to everybody for listening. Leave us a rating and review, and make sure you subscribe as well. And that helps other hockey fans find this podcast. And special thanks to Marty Biron, who was just awesome joining us today. Everybody, have a great rest of your Monday. We'll talk to you coming up on Odgies tomorrow, and Stick to Hockey Live coming